won the game. And I think that he probably could have with really good micro eventually. But he basically decided that he was going to give up because there was a chance that he could lose control of the game if he made any mistakes. With the air control issue, I don't know if he actually could have lost the game even if he lost his ground army. I don't think so. But, well, enough talk about that game. Let's go into our second game, the rematch. SoulKey versus Reality on Star Station.
SKT1
People going crazy again. And to restart it this time, Samsung Galaxy cons Terran in the bottom right. Reality.
And to the bottom left in blue, or top left, excuse me, in blue is SoulKey. And we have spawning locations reversed on this game, so it'll be very easy to remember and tell them apart. Let's see how the openings go. I really expect that we will see the same style from Reality. I don't know like what that is an amazing drawing, by the way.
That is so cool.
I don't know what I mean, there's a lot of things that went wrong for SoulKey in that game. He tried to, you know, he eventually thought he was going to outlast the Terran, right? And then he threw away Mutalisk a lot. And that's really where most of his bank went away. And I think he's going to try to be a little bit more careful about how he spends his money this time. Now that he's kind of realized how this style works out. He checks for proxies. He's like, well, maybe Reality's just tired and he's going to proxy me.
Yeah, it's always safe to be safe. And, of course, we talked about this at the beginning of the other game. SoulKey always loving to send out that drone scout, wants to make sure. This could be a mirror of the other game where he just comes in here, tries to harass that little SCV building, that first barracks, that mother barracks that started everything.
Yeah, and I mean, it's going to be a hatch first, as you guys can see on the production tab. Same opening so far for Reality. Same drone harass. This time, will he trap the drone inside? Only time will tell. There's the hatch. Will he actually do double hatch before pool? Looks like he's no. He didn't send a drone. And there's the pool. Yeah, it would have been pretty risky to do that based on what he's scouting. But
oh, look at this, a fight going down. Who's going to win this one? A boxing match.
That was very close.
Very close. He's got to micro that SCV.
He has to repair it.
Hit. Yep, there's the repair. And he's going to put down the extractor.
That's
keep
actually
that drone alive.
Very annoying because Reality needs that gas in order to get his Banshees out that we saw him use last game, in order to take the control of the early game and to go mech again if he's going to indeed show us the exact same game.
Yeah, that's a good point actually, because he has to start with that Reaper for the scouting.
And he also
this Marine.
Yeah, he makes the Marine because of the extractor, I feel, because he's like, I need that gas really, really badly, and I'm not gonna make 2 Reapers. It saves me 50 gas to not make 2, and then I'll have this Marine at home that can actually deal with that extractor. So we'll see SoulKey taking gas pretty quickly this time. And we might see SoulKey change it up and go 2-base Spire. That would be really cool to see how Reality responds to that.
I just want to see SoulKey change it up in one way or another. You mentioned, the mutas, not being so careless with the mutas, maybe microing them a little bit better, not wasting them at some moments. Just playing a little bit more, conservative maybe at times. But I would really like to see him change it up a little bit and not just go back into that same game, because I can assure you he doesn't want to play that same game. But in Reality's mind, it's probably like the only game he knows at this point.
Yeah.
And SoulKey's got to know as well that he's not going to change it up.
Yeah, it's well, interestingly enough, he changes it up a little bit so far. He takes the 3rd command center here very quickly. I think he took that a little later last time, got his Banshee a little bit faster because he didn't have those extra mills for not having a second gas. He doesn't start a starport. Let's see if he does add it. He's actually, he has the minerals and the gas, and looks like he is going to start it.
Yeah. it is started that their command center is also spotted by the overlord of SoulKey. So far, nothing too different coming out of SoulKey. So far, not a super fast third, just getting that speed.
Yeah, speed only, and he continues to mine with only one harvester, so it's not going to be 2 base layer. He's just going to, you know, move out and take that 3rd base fairly safely, as safely as he can, and a Reaper goes home. Was content with the information that he's been able to gather. Seeing that just lets him know, okay, there's going to be a 3rd base. I know this for sure now. Doesn't actually take the 2nd gas, and that makes me feel like we're actually going to see bio, but the Marine production has also stopped.
Yep, it has stopped. A Banshee's being made as well. No cloak this time. Doesn't seem like he had the gas to do. Oh, there it is.
A little bit later, and the 2nd gas comes up now as well. So definitely could. I mean, he's not making any Marines. It's pretty apparent that he will be going mech again.
Yeah.
Let's see how much damage he can get done with his Hellions this time. Last game, he really didn't do a whole lot of damage. He lost his Hellions early on. We talked about it. It's hard to remember. It was so long ago.
Seems like a totally different day, to be honest.
Yeah. I feel like I'm like thinking back to like yesterday's matches or something.
Yeah. That was actually like just the game before this, where like I think 7 Hellions went down and then like 1 got away.
Exactly. So see if he can control those a little bit better. Make sure he's on point. He's got to be feeling a little bit more excited about this game because things are definitely turning out to be very different than they were for the last 2 hours. He has a few roaches and a baneling nest in production, so it looks like he wants to bust it. He wants to actually end the game. SoulKey's had enough of this whole mech shenanigans, this whole swarm host versus siege tanks and point defense drones type of game. He's done with that. Here come the facts.
There are the factories. If he's not successful with this, though, that could be bad for SKT. You know, they have a bunch. Samsung has a bunch more of these strong Zergs that they probably wanted to save SoulKey for. If they don't have him for later stages, it might not be good. But this could turn out pretty good for him as well. You gotta wonder. You know, we just saw their reality did not see the Baneling Nest. He does not know this is coming.
Yeah.
And if it catches him off guard, it could end the game. Could do a ton of damage at least.
A ton more Zerlings being made right now, and he doesn't have any siege tanks. He's still, he may be swapping right now because he's not making anything in the factory. Yeah, he just swapped, I think, or at least just finished moving the factory. Yeah, he just moved it. So he's going to be able to make siege tanks now. This is a really scary moment, but the Banshees help out oh so much right now. He doesn't have a tight wall, which is a little bit scary with all the Zerlings that are coming down, but here come the Banelings! This is really, really intense. The Baneling's being targeted down by the Banshee. He will break through. Well, the first siege tank is almost out. The additional siege tanks, why aren't they making? Why isn't he making any more tanks?
He needs more tanks. He needs them fast.
He needs more gas.
A ton of these roaches in here now with the Banelings taking down a bunch of these SCVs. They are going to get this big clump. No, they do not get a bunch of them, but at least a decent amount go down, and now these roaches are going to chase down that tank. They want that tank.
He needs to repair it. He needs to repair that tank. It's a bit too slow, the repair. And now reality is basically dead because he doesn't have enough gas to produce mech units. He's losing way too many harvesters here. And yeah, he has 3 CCs, but 3 CCs when you're going bio is something that you can recover from. 3 CCs, though, when you have no SCVs to mine gas in a mech composition that you're trying to build is a totally different story. So he doesn't die here, but the transition out of losing his entire economy is a painful and slow one. He's still going to continue to produce SCVs here. He has a lot of mules he can drop. He needs to get those SCVs mining gas so he can continue to produce mech units. That's what he wants. He doesn't want to have this surplus of minerals. That's not really going to gain him anything. The only thing he's going to buy with that is Hellions and SCVs.
Yeah. And SoulKey knows he's done a ton of damage. He did build a decent amount of Zerglings to try to follow up a little bit, try to like pick up the scraps, but from there he's built a bunch more drones now, up to 12 as many more there. And he's just going to transition out of this. He has a big lead now. He's up in supply by 30. And
I mean, what he's basically going to do is just play it safe now. I mean, look at the economy. It's exploding right now for SoulKey. If you look at the mineral income right now for reality, that's partially due to mules. And once the mules fade away, his economy is going to go back down a little bit. He is on point about making sure he continues to produce triple SCVs at a time, right? And he's got his production back restarted now at his siege tanks a little bit. He's starting to get the upgrade for +1. What he's missing really is Thors, which are going to be very expensive against the Euless that he's going to be facing pretty soon. And already turrets are starting. That one siege tank is like, just going to give up. It's down the high ground. He's like, oh, I guess I'm just staying here. Not getting out of here.
Yeah, Reality's got to know he's way behind. And he's got to play safe from here. I mean, there is, to a certain extent, a meching turn. What a meching turn can do against this, if he is behind, he can go for a very slow push and get as many bases as possible and just try to go for that super endgame style like he did before. But he's going to be behind from here. And like you said before, it's going to be hard to get those Thors out. He is getting 2 at a time now. The Spire isn't made just yet. So, I mean, with these missile turrets as well, he should be safe for now.
Yeah, he will definitely be. It's just partially good. It's like he's identified what the problem was, and he's playing it safe. So all the upgrades coming out for SoulKey are solid as well, though. 1-1. He's getting Infestation Pit, which will, of course, be, yeah, you guessed it, for Swarm Host. Could be for fast Vipers, I guess, as well, if he wants to just try to hit a timing and use the Blinding Cloud. But I don't think that's what we're going to see. And
some discontent out of the crowd right now. They're like, oh no,
here we
not the
go
planetaries
again.
Well, there's that first command center. Maybe of one of maybe many to come. Maybe 20, 30.
There's the Locust upgrade. And, you know, I mean, he's really stabilized quite a bit, Reality. He's definitely behind, but he didn't die here. And SoulKey wanted to play the late game. He didn't actually try to kill him. He didn't try to end the game after he had that advantage. He also didn't have a lair tech, so he had to go back and reset his tech. Set it up, I should say. These 2 turrets that are being made right now are not quite finished. Looks like this one will be forced to cancel.
Yeah, at least just get the cancel. But Reality, we're seeing him again. He's just doing the same thing. We said it before. I'm not sure if these, 10 or so Mules can even come into here and do much damage. He's trying to get this little ground force over here as well. It seems like there's enough ground force Reality as well to push it back. And now, with so many turrets up and a bunch of Thors as well as Vikings, even 6 now, I'm not sure if these Mutas are going to do much damage. And we're seeing kind of a repeat of the last game, just with SoulKey with a bit of a advantage here, and with that advantage, he knows it's going later, so he's going to take as many bases as possible. He
has 102 drones. He's going to build that bank even faster this time than we saw last time. There's an Overseer with these Mutalisks. This is, it's actually really funny. I saw earlier, he had the Overlord in his control group of the Mutalisks like you do in StarCraft 1, but the Overlord just came up and died eventually because the Mutalisks were like being microed so much that Overlord actually eventually caught up and then died. That was pretty funny. But somebody bought something for the crowd. It looks like something from Paris Baguette. So they're getting like some baked goods, I guess, which is pretty cool.
They're getting handed out some stuff from Paris Baguette, which is a pretty big chain of bakeries here.
Yeah, I was actually like a little bit shocked when everybody started cheering. I was like, "Whoa, is it about the drones?" Because yeah, he has 103 drones. I'm sure Red is somewhere is smiling. Yeah. He's probably watching right now. Be sure to follow him on Twitter.
Shout out to Rhett.
Shout outs to Rhett, man. what a cool and awesome human, and excellent droner. Probably top 3 droners Europe.
At least top 3.
Yeah, for sure. So this watchtower here spots Amulis, of course. So he turns around. I don't know how much damage he got done there. Not a whole lot, it appears. We have 2 starports being added, and I think what Reality has probably picked up on from last game is that Ravens are his guardian angel. Without the Ravens, he's not won that game. The point defense drone is absolutely like quintessential to his survival. He's built the same wall. He's going to build the same great wall of turrets, and we're going to watch this game unfold very similarly to what we saw last game. And what SoulKey, I think, is realizing that the one thing that he wishes he had more of is infestors, and he starts the pathogen glands upgrade right away.
He's got the pathogen glands. I mean, there were multiple points in that game where if he had a bunch more infestors, he could have done, really great fungals, possibly, taken out a huge chunk of that air force that Reality was, that he had during the entire game. At the same time, he just dropped that Ultralisk Cavern. He wants to get that early as well. He's just trying to get all these upgrades again, just like he did last game.
Yeah, I mean, he's actually on triple eco chamber right now. He's upgrading 3 things at once. +3 weapons is almost done here for the mech army of Reality. Not sure what the stats on his armors are. Looks like it's at +1, I can see there on the siege tank at the bottom right. So without those Ravens, the Swarmos actually do a lot for him here, and he's moved them quite far forward. There's no way for them to be punished because there's no mobile army that could just go forward and kill it while it's scanning. So basically, SoulKey is going to start moving this out. This may actually change the way people play this matchup. I really feel like this is. I mean, I would have never guessed that this playstyle would have so much success. Like, the last game that we watched was actually shocking to me that he was able to just, with the point defense drones, just outlast free units and even paid units for such a long time. He's got so many Swarmos so early this time without the Raven support, though, and this is really starting to hurt Reality. He's having trouble keeping his units alive. But he has money still, right? I mean, we're not at that same point that we were last game.
I mean, the biggest thing about this game that's different from the last game is that SoulKey got that big lead, with the bust. And this time he's making a lot of static defense. This is going to help him a lot against, whatever push that Reality tries to do. He's going to be able to move those spine crawlers forward, maybe go for a bit more of an aggressive play style. He knows he has this this bit of a lead here, and he's been able to get the Swarm hosts out earlier. Like you said, the Ravens aren't quite out there just yet for all the PvDs, and he's going to be able to do some damage here early in the game. But still, Reality is at 200. Maybe he's not in as good a situation as he was last game, but he can still build the same composition.
Yeah, Corvid Reactor's done, meaning all Ravens that come out from now on will actually have that additional energy, meaning they can drop PDDs right away. Reality's actually taken ground this time. He's playing this more Flash Mech style, more Maru Mech style, where you just move across the map and start taking bases yourself and taking control and eliminating creep spread and starting to attack a little bit. And he's basically trying to circumvent this Locust army. Really great blinding clouds though on the siege tanks, and some Yanks go off. He's gonna lose those Vipers though. Those are expensive. And if last game has taught us anything, it's that banks don't last forever.
That's for sure, man. Banks eventually go bankrupt as well. They have nothing to back them.
That's also very true.
And we've seen it before.
We have seen it before.
And I actually love that Reality's doing this. He's being aggressive right up there because he knew that in that moment he would be able to beat that push out of SoulKey, and he's going to need that base eventually. He needs those minerals. He needs to build that bank at least somewhat to sustain this at least through the 50-minute mark.
Yeah.
So he's definitely going to want that. That's one big thing he wants. And at the same time, he has this, like you said before, this huge wall of turrets, the great wall of turrets, and he's going to play the same game.
Yeah, he does. Starting to lose some of his siege tanks a little bit. I like how he's taken the wall one step further. Instead of just sitting all in one place, he's actually established his foothold much further forward on the map. Mutalisks here are just going to go and die. Roaches as well. That was not worth it money-wise, and SoulKey still does have a bank.
Those Locusts actually on move command.
Yeah.
We're going in there, but they eventually wanted to attack. The Thors now and the tanks are making a move over here to the south. They want to eventually take out all of these spine crawlers. All these spine crawlers do go down except 2, but this buys SoulKey the time that he needed to come back here and reposition his swarm hosts.
Let's see. More factories being added. Let's see how much he can do with the move command Locust. Crowd's going pretty crazy about this command center investment. The investment at the command center is actually, I'm not sure how much I really. Well, let's talk about the pros and cons of this, because when you buy an orbital command, that's 550 minerals, including the 150 to transform plus the 400, and you'll never get those back. What you will gain is a faster, more efficient mining from your mules. But if you think about it, though, later on in the game, all of those minerals that you spent... hold that thought. This is a huge catch here by SoulKey. This time the Ultralists are not facing a wall of planetaries. They're facing a bunch of unsieged tanks, which, by the way, are also fungled now, and this is looking really bad for Reality.
Oh, it's really bad now. Now with the Ultralists coming in, eliminating all of those tanks, and huge bungles. Now the crowd is cheering. The Vikings are landed even to try to fight this. I don't know if that's the best idea.
Well, you know, they saw it in the cinematic for Heart of the Storm. I guess they're trying to make it a reality here. No pun intended. And at this point, Reality's chances of winning this game are starting to diminish quite rapidly. He's having to deplete his bank very quickly. You know, he's lost control of his third base and may lose a few of his production facilities. Those factories are just like morphing in the face of battle. Reality himself, if you look at his face right now, does not look really too stressed, but not amused either. Secret missiles will do a lot of damage, but he needs to finish those Ultralists off. With all the Queens here, it just doesn't look like it's going to happen.
Yep, Queens continuously going for those transfuses. Eventually, it seems like these Banshees are going to come over here and do a bunch of damage to these Ultralists, but now with a bunch of these Zerglings going to catch even more tanks.
Yep, these tanks on the low ground here look like they're trying to bait the Ultras into the high ground siege tanks, but they do go down. Only one Ultralist falling here, and people are chanting SoulKey's name right now in the studio as just so much damage and destruction goes on on both sides, because the switch into Banshees has eventually pushed this back. It's just that he's lost his foothold of dislocation on the map, and if SoulKey actually moves his units back down to this part of the map, maybe he could actually find a weak point instead of trying to engage where the planetaries are up at the north. That stronghold that he's built there.
Yeah, I mean, at the same time, there aren't many units over here, but there's enough SCVs to continue repairing these planetaries. So I'm not sure. I mean, he's going to try to focus it down. Is he going to get it? These SCVs need to repair.
He needs siege tanks over here. He finally does repair it. It's costing him a lot, though. Look at the bank. The bank in gas for SoulKey is incredible at 8,500. That's exactly the kind of bank that you want to have. If you look at this in one way, the game is very similar to last game, but it's just that SoulKey is like 2 steps ahead of where he was at this point last game as he is right now. And the bases are being mined out, of course, and that's going to take a little bit while longer. It's just that if Reality makes one mistake, he's going to lose the game because he doesn't have a bank. He doesn't have the infrastructure to remax quickly. That's something that SoulKey does have. He has a bank, he has a ton of hatcheries, he has so much larva.
Yeah, and he's getting all the upgrades as well. He has all the tech he wants now. He can literally go into anything he wants. He's maxed out right now. He's poking and prodding now, and these pokes and prods are a lot stronger than the last game. Blinding Clouds go down on all of the tanks. The Hydra's doing tons of damage as well. The Swarm host burrowing again, going to get those Locusts right up front.
Yeah, he just doesn't have any answer for those Vipers. He doesn't have Ghosts, of course. Why would he? He doesn't have the Vikings. He needs to deal with this. Planetaries are starting to fall, and SoulKey is taking control of this location. Can he get the last Planetaries, though? Here comes some point defense drones. That's something else, by the way, that's been missing from these last engagements, is the point defense drones. Does so much for him, not only against the Locusts, but also against Hydralists. The base holds, but the bank is gone again, at least most of it, for Reality.
Yeah, it's going to get a lot harder and harder for him to continue to rebuild his army, whereas SoulKey, like we mentioned before, is just doing so well with that now 9,400 gas bank. And he's moving his army up and down his creep path. He can poke anywhere he wants, and it's going to be really hard for Reality to respond to every attack that SoulKey's doing.
I think that, like, Reality's place in this game is definitely not like a terrible one, but he's losing some ground here. He's going to lose another group of siege tanks, and he doesn't have enough minerals to replenish those. He now has the Vikings, though, with his army, which is going to allow him to zone out all of those Vipers, and enough Banshees to even fight Hydralists directly. He can, like, 3-shot an Ultralist, it looks like, with these Banshees as well. He's just trying to do what he can. Those siege tanks got really far forward over there.
They are really far forward. Looks like SoulKey wants to reposition and go over there, try to take those guys out. Also getting a bunch of these Locusts in here to take out even more tanks. There's just not enough PDDs over here, not enough energy out of these Ravens, I think.
Yeah.
And, you know, Reality's trying to do whatever he can. He's trying to be a little bit aggressive, try to take some ground at all. It's just not working out for him.
I think he just needs to... I mean... Everybody's going to want to kill me for saying this, but he needs to just defend like he did last game. Worked out for him, right?
Yeah, I agree, actually.
Changelings are coming in. Does a Changeling disrupt mining time? I don't think so. I'm pretty sure it operates like all the other units. Changelings can act like a force field on the ramp where units can't pass through them, actually, but I don't think that would actually affect the mind of workers. He's going to lose a lot of siege tanks here, and a decent fungal goes off on these Vikings. Where are the follow-ups? It doesn't look like he has any.
Banshees like much. Now the Banshees cloak, and the Overlords are the Overseers are forced to back off. Seems like they did a little bit of damage, and he can just continue trading. SoulKey losing a bunch of units, but he's now going to get 15 Mutas as well as 2 extra Investors.
The Mutalist switch here. Mutalist switches are so expensive. I don't know what the Viking count is at exactly, but it looks like it's about less than 15, like something like between 12 to 15 or so, I think.
12.5.
Yeah, like 12.5. Repeated.
Somewhere around there.
But I think the Mutalist switch here, depending on what he does with it, can be great. I don't know how much turret coverage there is either on the map. I know he's got a pretty nice wall of turrets, but you know, say at his mineral lines, because mining actually is still very important. Even though he has 1,700 minerals, he's at 180 supply, so to remax, it's going to cost him all he has. Gas is even more important for him right now. He's only at 150 or so, and it's just going to take him so much longer to actually replenish that. He starts to realize the Mutalist switch is coming and is massing up turrets. Something you mentioned earlier, which is actually a really good point, is that SoulKey has added way more Spore Cores, way more static defense this game, and that was what was the changing point in the last game, because it was impossible for Reality to actually finish the game with those static defenses. Now he's going to have even more.
Yeah, SoulKey, I think he took a lot of stuff from that last game, especially playing against specifically Reality, and he's trying to build that into his build in this game, work that into his build in this game. He's trying to come in here and do as much damage as he can with his Mutas. I'd like to see what he's remaxing with now.
Mutalists just don't seem like the answer here. Am I wrong? Like, it just seems like the Mutalists can't, in such a small number especially, really accomplish a whole lot.
There's just too many turrets, and if he wants to go up against the army of Reality, he's facing like 7 PVDs in his face, and to the point where the Mutalists can't even do any damage at all.
No.
Like, I mean, we've seen it time and time again, even in the last game, where that has been the case. And I think he just wanted to come around and try to eliminate certain units, and he tried to go in there at the top and do that, maybe some tanks, but it didn't really work out quite as well as he hoped.
He was also, you know, prepared for Reality. Actually realized what was happening and made more turrets. At the time when he started the Mutalists, there weren't as many turrets, so that's something else to consider.
That's something that Reality did well in both games, actually. He was always aware of what SoulKey could do and was reading him very well.
Those 2 gases not mining is actually pretty important. They're both at full, so that's 5,000 more gas that SoulKey can and likely will eventually mine. The base at the bottom is actually taken by him as well. That one's actually like almost mined out. So he's got those other ones to fall back, and he mines the gas that's furthest away from him first, which is a smart choice. There's a lot of firepower here in this Terranorian, but Blinding Cloud is going down. He's actually committing to this, but the thing is, the Planetaries are still alive, and he trades okay here. And this is the kind of trading that he wants to do, because this is like depleting the Terran's bank almost completely every time, and he has 10,000, and the Raven count is at 6. You know, he wants a little bit more Ravens than that to actually be able to sustain enough PDDs to actually make attacks like that kind of irrelevant. Because Blinding Cloud, as far as I know, doesn't work on PDDs.
Yeah.
So if he's attacking with ranged units, the PDDs are there. Eventually, the Blinding Clouds go away. The Vikings are also not effective. They just will tear through those Vipers. He's trying to get more Ravens, but at the same time, he has to replenish his siege tank count, right, and his Thors and everything else he's building. So the Ravens are expensive in gas, but it's very difficult for him to actually produce those. But Brennan, I'm getting scared this game might be the same way as what we saw last game.
I feel like it's definitely going to be another very long game. We don't even usually see StarCraft games last this long.
Yeah.
I mean, compared to the last game, this is short, but still, even we're up at 40 minutes. Like, this is considered late game TVZ, and the only thing that's different this time is that SoulKey is in a big lead. Instead of trying to trade with his Mutas this time, he's realized what exactly he needs to trade against this. It's a bunch of Fungals, it's Vipers with Blinding Cloud, and he sends in the Infested Terrans, he takes out a bunch of tanks. He's forcing Reality to spend that bank, because SoulKey's looking at his bank now and he's maxed out, and he's like, I can do this, and Reality has to be lower than me, because he just has less bases than me, and I took mine so much quicker. And it seems like he's just figured out the best way to trade with Reality, and I just like to see him continue to do with this.
Yeah. He's getting battle cruisers now. That was something Reality is doing, and this is something we saw have kind of a big impact in the previous set, because he was able to, with the BCs, pick off structures. Yamato is so important in that, and also to like pick off the hatcheries in the main base and those sort of buildings. Because, I mean, believe it or not, we're already back to the same type of game that we saw previously. It's just that this time the bank isn't depleted yet, so we're not looking at a fully developed game yet. But it doesn't look like, unless SoulKey can have a miracle engagement, it doesn't look like anything that didn't happen last game is going to happen this game. And this is pretty crazy. I mean, you and I both called it. I mean, as I'm sure most of our viewers did as well. This is not... Well, hold that thought. Here we go. Bungles on these Banshees. It's really important. He's got a lot of siege tanks there. Can the Vipers get their blinding clouds off? Not as many as he would like, it looks like. But if he kills those Ravens, that is huge, because the Ravens cost so much, and I think he's going to get every single one of them. That is a game changer.
That is what he needed right now. He took out so many of those Ravens. I'm not even sure if there are any left. And those are so gas heavy. And look at the supply and gas of Reality right now. Even the minerals, there's basically nothing there. And now SoulKey is just going to remax. I mean, that was a very nice trade for SoulKey. He's been ahead in that facet for such a long time. Now he even begins to mine gas from these that he saved for so long. There's more blinding clouds. Maybe try to move those Olympus in, do some more damage.
The PDDs are going to run out of energy here and eventually die out. The PDD is the power of this army. Of course, siege tanks are quite important as well, but it's the PDD that keeps them alive. And without that, then this army is beatable. This army is killable, especially with blinding clouds like these when the Locusts come in. Perfectly timed here. Siege tanks are on the retreat. 2 Ultras now running in. The first one already doing a ton of damage. And Reality has lost all ground here. He has no money left. He drops down to 127 supply. Brendan, this composition looks like it may have been defeated.
This is very different from the last game because of the single failing lane roach push that SoulKey went for. It just got him so far ahead. He was able to trade so efficiently here from there on out. And now we're watching a 127 supply Reality go up against 200-200 of SoulKey with a gigantic bank. SoulKey has it in his hands. Finally, after a combined 3 hours of play of StarCraft.
Yep.
SoulKey has taken the game. It looks like.
It looks that.
Reality.
I mean, it looks that way.
It looks that way.
Reality has not produced anything over the past about minute of the game. He has not spent his resources. I think he was trying to say exactly what was most important for him to build. Now, the Ravens being gone means that he doesn't have PEDs, but if he has enough siege tanks, that can be somewhat nullified because the siege tanks do so much damage. But on the other hand, the siege tanks, I mean, if they're all blinded clouded, it doesn't matter what's there. So he's going to have to make sure that he targets down the Vipers with his Vikings if he can. And because here we go. Again, his siege tanks are completely going to be ripped to shreds. They cannot fire. The blinding clouds are there. Here come the Locusts. And I think that's going to be it, Brendan.
That looks like it's about it. All of these blinding clouded tanks are going down, and all of the Ultralists, as well as the Locusts coming in here, going to take out most of these tanks. These little amount of tanks in Reality are now going to try to kite to the best of their abilities, but it's not going to work. He's going to take out the last one, even with his Ultralists, and now the crowd is going crazy. Finally, SoulKey has done it. GG!
What a game! What a 2-game, 3-game, everything. And now the crowd chants SoulKey's name again.
People in the crowd standing up and waving their arms, going crazy.
And this has been a momentous victory for him. I'm sure he's very pleased with himself. Now, Brendan, it seems apparent that Bravo will be the next player. And